Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, and honorable judges. Garena is an industry leader within the e-gaming market and looking to help accelerate e-gaming within Southeast Asia. We are Vector Consulting, and today we're going to show you exactly how to e-define the e-gaming market. Garena currently holds a 17.5% share of online PC gamers within Southeast Asia. And this is within a market that's projected to double by 2017. And this puts Garena in an incredible position to help accelerate the recognition of e-gaming as a professional sport. After speaking with the COO, we know that one of the biggest limiting factors of recognizing e-gaming as a professional sport is awareness. In 2013, there were over 71 million viewers of e-gaming, and this number has increased significantly since that time. But there is a need to increase the target audience to a broader general audience due to the fact that currently 60% are ages 18 to 34 and 85% are male. Currently, Southeast Asia is playing catch up to South Korea and China within the e-gaming market. So really, the primary step of accelerating the growth of e-gaming is increasing awareness. So when we look at the perception of e-gaming, there really is a big difference between the e-gaming community and the non-e-gaming community. So when we look at those not in the e-gaming community, we see that they think it's just a game, or there's very little benefits, very little career opportunities, and there's a lot of negative stigmas and health repercussions for e-gaming. But when you talk to someone that is within the e-gaming community, they focus on that supportive community. They focus on the strategic and transferable skills gained through professional e-gaming, and they focus on the endless dedication to their sport. So when we look at the career trajectory of professional e-gamers, we see that they start out young, but they rise fast to their career peak and retirement in their mid-20s. So this really begs the question, what are professional e-gamers supposed to do once they're done with pro gaming leagues? So after completing our situational analysis, we came up with two key questions. First, how is Garena supposed to increase the awareness of esports within Southeast Asia? And second, how is Garena going to increase the perception of e-gaming? So we've been able to answer these questions with our Expand and Evolve strategy. Within Expand, we're going to be focusing on reaching out to that broad target audience by focusing on online social media advertising. And within Evolve, we're going to be focusing and highlighting the technical benefits and the positive aspects of e-gaming in order to increase perception, and this will be through focusing on career development. The positive net present value of our strategy is $22 million. So there are many ways to approach this issue, but we've decided to focus on online social media advertising as well as career development due to the fact that these align with Garena's core competencies and generate new users. South Korea is a leader within the e-gaming industry, but we've decided not to mimic their model due to very stark differences in infrastructure and government interference within the industry. As well as we decided not to focus on women because that isn't Garena's core competency as a demographic just yet. That's a potential long-term demographic, and we feel as though it's more important to focus on increasing awareness and perception for the industry as a whole. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to Harrison, who's going to talk about the first prong of our strategy.
I'm going to walk us through the expand portion of our strategy. We're going to talk about how to increase awareness of esports in the Southeast Asian market. In our research, we saw that in Southeast Asia, internet penetration has lagged a little bit behind South Korea and China, but that is going to continue to grow into the future at an increasing rate. We also saw that esports are just as exciting and interesting as so-called conventional sports. And finally, we decided to focus on really creating that sense of community and personal connection to esports that so many people feel with conventional sports. All in all, we know that increasing awareness of esports in Southeast Asia is incredibly important for Garena moving forward. But how are we going to do this? Our first suggestion is what we're calling the Garena Pro Challenge. But what is GPC? This will be a weekly, hour-long program, kind of like a TV show, focusing on 6 teams of semi-pro to amateur gamers, all competing for a chance to be in the Garena Premier League for the upcoming season. It's an incredibly exciting prize and something that would drive people to watch some sort of content like this. But how is Garena going to create something like this? First, they'll film and produce 5 hour-long episodes really focused on those gamers and their individual story. They can work with their sponsors, such as True Money, 3BB, and GView, which have already worked with Garena on their GSL tournament. And finally, post the video on the GPL website, YouTube, and Azubu, which is content hosting platforms that Garena has already used in the past. What will these videos look like? Of course, it'll show match highlights, really highlighting the exciting and incredibly addictive esports community, with full matches available online for those that really want to delve in and see what esports is all about. But the really primary focus is going to be on the human aspect, the gamers behind these games, the struggles and tribulations that they have gone through in order to be dedicated to the sport that they find so exciting, as these gamers practice multiple hours per day and how that affects their personal relationships with those around them, really focusing on the people behind the game. And then each week, one team will be eliminated until that final team remains. But really, the major impact of this is that it humanizes these esports. With conventional sports, one of the most exciting things about them are the human players on the field, their personal stories, and what they have gone through to be part of something that they are so passionate about. And that isn't necessarily always true with esports, because as you're watching, you mainly see avatars on the screen. By humanizing these players and really getting to the people behind the game, it's going to help increase the appeal and awareness of esports in the market. But how's someone going to find these Garena Pro Challenge videos? Imagine Tam, a 15-year-old Thai boy who's scrolling through his Facebook page when he happens upon a 30-second clip highlighting esports and the arena it's in. As he watches this clip, when he clicks on it, he's instantly taken to the website where the Garena Pro Challenge videos are hosted, and he can really learn about the world of esports and how exciting it is. In addition, if he decides to share the video, he'll be entered for a chance to win 4 exclusive, all expenses paid, VIP tickets to the Garena Star League, so that he can really get the feel for the esports tournaments in the world. The impact of this is not only does it increase engagement with the advertisements, but really helps spread the reach of these ads to not only those people that are targeted by the ads, but their parents, their friends, and others closest to them. All in all, the impact of the expand part of our strategy is that we've increased awareness of esports in the Southeast Asia market. We've really emphasized the similarities between conventional sports and esports. And finally, the consumer is really able to create a personal connection to esports and the players behind it. All in all, Garena is now ready to improve the perception of esports, and Austin's going to tell you exactly how to do that.
Okay, so now that Harrison's taken you through the awareness part of our strategy, let's transition into perception. Getting back to Tan, that 15-year-old who's now aware of esports as an item. You still have the issue of his parents, his friends, and the community, and the perception they have in Southeast Asia that esports have no benefits, that they have no long-term career outlook opportunities. We see this issue of a trade-off between fame or a future. In professional esports, you would pursue fame, but you give up the idea of a sustainable future beyond 25 when most esports players retire. So let's look into more depth on what exactly esports entails. So first off, it's commitment. There's 18 weeks of competitive play in most of these leagues. There's also 12 plus hours of practice on a day-to-day basis. They live communally with their team and kind of sacrifice time with friends and family. They also have to deal with stardom, which means managing a fan base and all that goes along with that. And they also have to watch opponent film, deal with strategy sessions. It's a lot of time. It's a huge commitment. It's hard to go to university. It's hard to get that education that leads to a career moving forward. So how do we change this? Well, Garena needs to change this. We need to shatter the framework that is esports right now. And we do this by bringing the two items together, fame and future. And we're going to do this through the Garena journey. So what the Garena journey is first off targeting a younger audience base right away. Start at the age of 15 and move into these internet cafe tournaments that I'll talk about here in a moment. Then once they move to the age where most competitive play takes place, the age of 18, you can either transition into professional esports, or if you want to pursue a more casual aspect, through our college esports clubs, which I'll also talk about here in a moment. Then the career path leads to either an internship through Garena or a similar company, or through a tuition assistance program that would help these esports retirees get back into the workplace. So now starting off with the internet cafe tournaments. The first aspect we want to emphasize is the educational aspect of this item. Young gamers are not informed in making an informed decision on whether or not to pursue a career in esports. So by bringing in retired esports professionals, you can help them to make that decision more effectively, so there's a less of a fail rate when it comes to pursuing professional esports. Next, those who do decide they want to become an esports professional, through the community they create in these internet cafe tournaments, you can encourage them to pursue that goal. And then finally, for extend, those who do not want to be professional esports but want to continue a casual atmosphere, you extend through the journey that we're taking into the college atmosphere and the esports clubs. So how this will look logistically is there'll be two real main demographics. There'll be the 15 to 16-year-olds that are more deciding whether they want to be serious or casual. And then once they hit 17, they'll be more towards, okay, do I want to go pro, or do I want to continue as a casual aspect to play this game for entertainment? So now talking about the college esports clubs, what exactly would this be? So now that Tan has gone from being this person, he has friends, and his friends want to be able to follow him as he pursues his goals in professional esports. But they're off in college, so what are we going to do about it? Garena is going to establish college esports clubs. Target 2 to 3 key universities in 4 Southeast Asian countries. Target programs that deal with esports-related content, such as computer programming, computer science, and we'll do this through the Garena University program. What this entails is, once again, an educational aspect. Bring in those retired esports professionals and teach these people what esports is all about. Next, the people who want to compete competitively, we have university versus university competitions in which teams will compete against each other, these 8 different teams from these 4 different universities. And this will allow them to get international coverage as well as potential streaming revenue, which would help them with college. And then finally, for the internship aspect, Garena currently has a 9-week intensive internship program called their management internship program. We want to add a slight modification that targets esports to consumers by adding 3 additional weeks and targeting at the PC game operations sector as well as the product development sector, where their insight would help to create a unique approach for Garena. So the impact of this is really, first off, you're developing marketable skills within this atmosphere that apply to future job sustainability within esports. And then finally, realigning Garena with their core value of entrepreneurial adaptation. So now on the next foot, let's go back to Tan. He wanted to pursue professional gaming. He started at 18. He went through his professional esports life. Now he's 25, where most esports professionals retire, and he's looking for what he should do. The problem is there's not a lot of career outlook opportunities. No one's been there in the past to help him out. So that's where Garena is going to step in. There's 2 opportunities here that they can provide. First off, tuition assistance. A 50% stipend to get them back into school. Those partner universities I talked about earlier, we're going to send them to those. And what they have to give back is their time. Give back to the esports community. Participate in those tournament the cafe tournaments, as well as esports clubs in order to spread their knowledge base. And then finally participate in an internship program that I mentioned earlier, giving back to Garena for the tuition money they gave them. The other option is an intensive internship program, which would be a modified version of the management associate program that Garena currently has. So what this would be is taking the 12-month, 3-week, or 3-month 4 assignment rotations that they currently have, scaling it into 2 6-month rotations within PC game operations and product development, where esports professionals would be able to add their insight and allow Garena to compete on what exactly people who play these games want. So now looking at the overall brand ladder of esports, we see first and foremost that through developing the technical skills of critical thinking, strategy, as well as the collective environment of like-minded individuals, we come to the functional benefits of both marketable skills as well as community, and then finally to those important emotional benefits of the drive of satisfaction and inclusion. And we see that esports is changing the perception of how people view this, and that's how you're going to get to a larger audience. Change the people they look up to, change this market. So now for the timeline. We see there are 3 key steps you need to take right now, day 1. First, you need to pursue media in order to start the marketing campaign that Harrison talked about. Second, you need to reach out to the professional esports arena and see if there is interest in this tuition assistance program, as well as the intensive internship program, and make any slight tweaks that the professional community feels are needed. And then thirdly, you need to locate potential venues for these CAF-A tournaments so you can start influencing people at the age of 15 right now and get them on the Garena journey. So as you see below here, you can see how we expand and evolve parts of our strategy work out over the next 5 years. Now I'll pass it off to Steven, who's going to take you through the financial aspects of our strategy.
So now let's talk a little bit about the financials. So to begin with, we have a two-pronged strategy of expand and evolve. And through those two parts, we really want to focus on bringing awareness to the market as a whole, because by doing that, Garena can really help broaden that market, as Harrison and Austin mentioned, and this in turn will come directly back to Garena. And this is because every time we market to those new people and those new additions to the market, it will have Garena's name attached to it. So it really comes down to branding and getting those next people before they even know that it's happening. And this is where that 25% market share comes from. We really want to attract and move that market share in the direction that the CDO wanted, and he was looking for up to 25% over the next several years. And so by 2020, that's where we want to look at being. Now, as far as the NPV breakdown, it basically comes into two different components. The biggest cost driver on the expand part is the Facebook advertisements. And that really comes from the idea of we want to make sure we can reach as many people as possible. Now, as far as the evolve part of the strategy, the two key parts there are the internship and the scholarships related to that. And then the second part is the backpacks to briefcases. And these encompass the main cost drivers. But as far as the revenue is concerned, the biggest thing there is the market share and the increase that we're looking for. In this analysis, we're actually not taking into account the increase in Garena over the next several years because they already have a plan for that. So we're not accounting for that. We want to take that and add to that and take it to the next level. And that's why we're focusing on the increase in the market share. Now, we did an NPV sensitivity analysis, and the numbers here are calculated based off of the conservative growth rate of the industry going forward over the next several years. And we strongly believe that our strategy will bring in at least $22 million in NPV for the Garena. And on top of that, we have a risk mitigations here, and the main one that I'd like to highlight is the Facebook ads. What if we aren't able to use them and target them as effectively as we thought we could in our planning stage? Well, the idea here is we have an assessment stage down the road, and it was mentioned in the timeline. And the key here is to basically look at, are they targeting certain demographics effectively? And if so, let's manage and continue to target those demographics well, and we'll reallocate the resources accordingly for the other demographics. But we're open to other opportunities as well, but that's kind of where that comes from. And now I'd be happy to hand it off to Sam to wrap things up.
So with our expand and evolve strategy, Southeast Asia is not only aware of the e-gaming industry, but they've also increased their perception. We've captured the hearts of the public audience using the Garena Pro Challenge videos, using a similar model to what we've seen successful in reality TV in Southeast Asia. We've seen how someone like Tan can go from being completely unaware of the e-gaming market to transitioning into a community that's supportive, one that's helped facilitate him into a career in pro gaming. And then that's where Garena stepped in. They were able to help people like Tan and people like Tan's family feel secure that they're going to have a sustainable future. So e-gaming, it's not just a game. It's not just a sport. It's the sport. And Garena's here to change the game. Thank you so much. We'd now like to open the floor for questions.
What about the public opinion to support that the e-sport is a sport or the sport, and probably to help with the parents? Because I think your strategy start like the internet cafe tournaments, and that probably involve parents as well.
Okay, so on that note, we first see that professional esports players are the ones they look up to the parents see as role models for their children. So if we fix the problem currently at the professional esports level and create role models that people can look up to, that parents can respect, change the perception they have of what it means to pursue a career in this sport, their kids will get behind it, their parents will get behind it. So the whole idea is that kids are most susceptible to influence going through the younger age. So we wanted to push down the target audience from 18 down to 15 and kind of get that whole demographic perspective of influencing them earlier and getting them along this journey. And really how you perfect these tournament cafes is first off, Garena goes in and starts the infrastructure. They start the infrastructure and make it so that it is a positive place for children, 15-year-olds, to partake, that their parents will be willing to send their children to. And then once that's been set in place, the tournament cafe atmosphere becomes self-sustainable and it can continue into the future, creating impact on children.
At the beginning, early beginning, you mentioned about the problem of internet speed, right, in Southeast Asia. But along the presentation, like it's missing somewhere. So do you have any idea how to solve this problem, to how to say, to encourage people to play more e-sport game? Because if the internet speed very low, right, so probably not good for business.
Right, so the internet speed is currently low and internet penetration is low, but that is going to continue to improve into the future as more and more of these internets come online. And really, we want to focus primarily right now in major cities where the infrastructure is a lot better, especially with those internet cafe tournaments and things like that. So currently, most of our suggestions are focused on people who either have access to internet or are very close to internet access, and focusing on making them aware of the esports tournaments and esports that are available there. And then as the internet spreads more and more, the same tactics can be used to grab those people that are just now coming online.
So I'd like to begin by saying that I remember the front part of the presentation talked about creating a sort of amateur league of sorts, right, to get people into the Korean Premier League. And a big part of that, the idea behind it was to create some sort of reality TV show to showcase their path towards a professional, so to speak. I'd like to challenge that by saying that have you ever wanted to watch any particular sport, let's say cricket? If I showed you a cricket reality TV of amateurs that don't really play very well, would that be extremely appealing to you to watch, just as a reality check?
Sure. So if you go to the slide selecting contestants for the program, these people won't necessarily be pure amateurs. There are a lot of people playing League of Legends and other MOBA games online at a very high level who aren't necessarily the pros who are featured in those leagues. So these people who are going to be featured, the 6 teams, won't necessarily be people who have never played the game before, but instead teams that can either apply or try out through a process who are already playing League at a very high level. And then they'll be accepted not only based on their abilities, but also on that personal story that I talked about and that sort of human side. And so I think that really the main answer to your question is that these won't be pure amateurs. They will still be playing the game at a very high level.
But they're not good enough to be at the top level.
Yes, but and that's where after they work through this program, Garena can really help them get to the top level. For instance, Garena already sponsors the Taipei Assassins and provides coaching. If you help coach this team and get them to that level where they are as competitive as the Garena Premier League, then they can move into that arena. And if Garena feels that they aren't at that level or decides that they don't want to offer a spot in the top league, then there are certainly other prizes that Garena could look at instead of specifically that spot in the Garena group.
Yeah, I think my bigger point is just whether you're putting the horse before the cart, because let's say, would you care about the story of a division, let's say not a Premier League, but a Division 2 player making his way, that would you rather watch that, or would you rather watch the Premier League?
I personally would rather see that human connection and that person trying to make it. Eventually, yes, people love to see the top level, but there's certainly examples of other shows that show the people who are trying to get there and working to get to that point. And that's a really exciting and interesting story if you show the dedication and the struggle that those people are going to get there.
Also, if we look at other markets for at least League of Legends, in North America and European Championship Series, they have a Challenger League, which is not professional, they're semi-professional athletes. So this model works in the past. They're broadcasting online through Riot Games' website. So this model exists, out in other leagues. So if we model a similar model, then it should work once again for amateur leagues within this model. So if it already exists and it's already successful, I can see this being something that people want to watch.
Okay, just to add, the viewership for the Challenger League is a fraction of the viewership for the professional league. So if we are to expand to the numbers that we intend to expand to, I'm not sure targeting a smaller market is the way to go.
Sure.
So I have another point. So the other point, like a big part of the presentation and the strategy seems to be to provide job security for gamers after they develop their gaming career. So I think life would be extremely unfair if you could find someone that could, based on merit, qualify for the greener management internship program and also be good enough to play at a somewhat professional level esports. I would be very upset if such people existed. I think the reality is that if you are going to be a top level or near top level esports player, you're going to be imbalanced, right? You're not going to be a complete person and you can do like other stuff. You're going to be really good at this one thing because life is fair that way. The other point is that when people look up to players like Michael Jordan, they look up to him because, oh my God, he can become like a manager after he's done becoming a great basketball star. And not really, right? They want to become Michael Jordan because he's cool, because he makes a lot of money being a basketball player, right? So I'm not sure that trying to make these pro players very well-rounded generalists is quite the approach I would adopt.
So one of the concerns mentioned in the case packet information was that parents are concerned with financial stability by pursuing a career in professional esports. So that was the idea behind our approach to target what they would do after retirement, is to get more people to want to take that approach, so that when they do become a professional esports gamer, they know there's something afterwards. Right now, only the top of the top pursue careers as either casters, coaches, or the destined career paths that currently exist for professional gamers. One of the other outlets right now for professional gamers is actually poker, which is not a very sustainable career path for a lot of people, considering that 90% of people lose money. So we wanted to make it so that Garena is a frontline new idealist when it comes to supporting professional gamers, because no one else is doing it, and it would be a really good PR idea for the company to show that you do support these professional esports gamers that generate the revenue for the company.
Two questions. The first part is on the implementation plan. I think we try to resolve the awareness problem by expanding marketing, like by doing a live show of the game players and also a lot of online advertisements or also advertisements. And the problem with that is they spend a lot of money to generate the awareness, but the return may not come immediately because the show will be short time, but you may need to spend a lot before you generate the bigger base of gamers who you can recover the return. But in parallel, if there is a competitor that comes in, so what strategies you put in place in order to invest, but still can recover what you've invested in the context that might not be very difficult for competitors to come in. This is the first question. The second one is the career path. I think you've been trying to take care of the people who become professional players. Of course, the top tier players may not need to be taken care of in the first place, but there are some people you could actually hire them back to help you promote your gaming. But I believe there will be a lot more not so successful cases, which is a bigger number that you may not be able to actually hire them back, or you may not have enough fund to actually help them immerse them back into a formal career. So what's the plan for that?
So I'll answer your first question about competitors and about initial investment. We believe that the initial marketing, especially through the social media ads and things like that, it's really about driving awareness and driving a player base to league by making them aware of esports. And so by sort of grabbing the market early on and increasing your market share early before some of the big competitors do come in to the market, for instance, Dota and Heroes of Storm and other big competitors coming in the future, by grabbing the esports market now in Southeast Asia, making them aware of it, and really attaching the Garena name to competitive esports in Southeast Asia before these competitors are able to make a big splash, you're really able to grab that customer lifetime value over the long run.
And then for your second question, it wouldn't just start with Garena making this initiative, but then we'd want to partner with other organizations similar to Garena. It would make a larger opportunity for these professional esports gamers to get careers after they are finished being professionals. So the idea, as I said before, is that there's not really help right now for them to get careers outside of professional esports. Only the top professional esports players make the big money. So those other ones that were there, they contributed to the profitability of the company, such as Garena and other companies. They need something to do afterwards. They aren't set for retirement at the age of 25. They need something they can do for the next 40 years. So when it comes to that atmosphere there, we see it as being a front runner in this idea to help them out. It's going to generate a lot of positive ideas for esports within the Southeast Asian market because you are being someone who respects and wants to help people that we're helping you as a company.
Just to add on that, I think what you're hearing a lot is kind of elements of concerns here and there. And I think before I ask my question, this is a very complicated problem, right? There's many different elements, aspects, it's a big ecosystem, different stakeholders. So I think the reason that the judges are asking these questions is actually to hear not just defending what you're presenting, but actually using Q&A as an opportunity to even elaborate and expand beyond the initial presentation. So with that context in mind, I think my question really is around what you mentioned is around, yes, it's important to convert parents and change their perception. What you heard from Good Bharat is that, okay, looking at the success could be one, but maybe not the only. There might be others, right? Reasons why parents would let you play games. Because just looking at one role model, that might not work for the majority. And remember what we're trying to do here is we're not talking about niche, but we're talking about scale and mass, right? And how to expand. So there's going to be some parents that might be sold on that. There's going to be a lot more that are not. Like if you look at other parents that actually let their children play soccer or football, it's not because they see that, hey, this person's going to, they can be an athlete at the end of the day and make a lot of money, but it's healthy. There's all these other things that they don't think twice. But there's a negative perception there right now for e-gaming. I don't think just by looking at a successful career, it's enough to change that perception. I think the second part is around scalability of your other initiatives, things like bringing people back to work with Garena and all these things. You don't see the football or soccer, right, as one of the key reasons why people say I can go play football or soccer is because, even if that doesn't work out, I'm going to go work for FIFA or I'm going to work for the NFL, right? That's not the logic. So there's actually much more in that and the reason is because the NFL doesn't have enough positions to actually fill in, even if we wanted to. So that was kind of, to Bernard's point. So I guess my question is really around what else do you think we can do beyond the things that you suggested? If you were to propose your own strategy, where would it be and what would be the recommendations?
So really, I think it's